All right, Sixer Nation, breaking news. I had a video set and scheduled to upload, which will still play right after this, but I wanted to just throw this quick piece in here as it just dropped a minute ago. Sixers Joel Embiid suspended by the NBA. That is right. According to the NBA, Joel Embiid has been suspended for 3 games without pay for shoving a member of the media, as it was announced today by Joe Dumars. Embiid's action took place in the Sixers locker room. As we know, quote, mutual respect is paramount to the relationship between players and media in the NBA. While we understand Joel was offended by the personal nature of the original version of the reporter's column, interactions must remain professional on both sides and can never turn physical. Embiid's suspension will commence with the next NBA regular season game for which he's eligible and able to play. So it seemed like Joel Embiid was going to come back tomorrow, and now he is not eligible. He will not be playing probably the Clippers game, the Lakers, Hornets, I guess he's eligible to play those games. And that means the Sixers could realistically be 1-8 or 2-7. And all I'm going to say about this, as I have reiterated, is this is absolute bullcrap. They say here, that interactions must remain professional. Well, what about the other guy? Was that professional, including his brother and his son in that article? The NBA just set a precedent that it is okay for the media to personally attack and use family members and stuff beyond the basketball court in their work. And it's just a really bad tone to set. Look, Joel should not have, pushed Marcus Hayes, right? And maybe he should be suspended for a game or two. But my issue is that there's no repercussion on the other side. Matter of fact, they reported that Marcus Hayes sat down with Daryl Morey and Elton Brand right after and got a huge apology. He got an apology for getting pushed by Joel Embiid. No repercussion, no slap on the wrist or anything for Marcus Hayes. Nope, they just changed that version of the article, and I guess he's all good to go. So anyway, that is the latest news. Joel Embiid suspended, and now we will get to the regularly scheduled video. So the Sixers go down late last night in Phoenix and fall to 1-5 in the debut game of Paul George as a Sixer. But the real question is, should we be more concerned or optimistic based on what we saw last night? We'll talk about that, and also a couple things had me scratching my head after the game, including a quote from Paul George himself and a video footage clip of Joel Embiid. So we will dive into all of it, but welcome into Philly Take with RB. Do me a huge solid, like the video to help push this content around, and subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 40K by hitting that red button down below. I think the initial reaction was a bit overblown, and I can admit I am a part of that. But look, man, late last night, past 2 in the morning, I mean, we do our show every single game, pregame, live game, postgame. It's a long show. And it's 2 in the morning, and it felt like an opportunity where the Sixers could have stolen a game on the road against a really good Phoenix Suns team, and they let it slip out in the final minutes. And I think if this was like game 2 or game 3 of the season, nobody would care. They would say it was a valiant effort, but you also have to take into consideration that Joel Embiid hasn't played yet, and now you are 1-5. So we will talk about the good and the bad, but grade Paul George's debut down in the comments: 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. I will say there was a lot of good that came from this. The team looked more competent. They looked more fluid. Paul George opened up a lot more looks on the floor. But on the flip side, when it came to crunch time, when push came to shove, Sixers couldn't hold in and get it done, and PG and Maxey kind of went away from the ball. So things to keep our eyes on for sure. Suns are a really good squad, but the Sixers had a chance to put them away. Couple minutes left, they were up by 8, and they could not do it. So how do you feel about that? Before we get into the questionable stuff, let's talk about a couple good things, okay? Paul George is providing for the Sixers something that we have not seen in a very long time, and that is just a wing who can create off the dribble by himself and just get a bucket. Like, look at this play here. He's going to drive, spin, go up against 2, draw the foul, and 1. When is the last time the Sixers had somebody at that position be able to do that, right? Other than Joel and Maxey, who else can do this kind of stuff for the Sixers? They got their creator back. They got PG-8. He was a little bit slow out of the gate, had some turnovers and fouls, but I thought he really got into a good rhythm last night and was finding his spots on the floor. And he was being decisive, which is what I saw in the preseason, and it was a good sign from a guy like Paul George, especially at his age. Another guy who stepped up last night and had a breakout game. By the way, career high, 19 points for Guerschon Yabusele. Should Guerschon be starting at the 4? Yeah. I think when Joel comes back, I would start Yabu at the 4. And I think, everybody's concerned right now about the backup center because Andre Drummond is starting and he is really your backup center, right? And the way Drummond has played the last couple of games has showed us why he is a backup center. He is playing himself off the floor, and Yabu comes in and Nurse rocked with him for the entire fourth quarter, which I do like to see. I like how Yabu stayed in that game and was playing tough and aggressive. Can he do this every night? 19, 6, and 7, probably not. But what I really did like was his intensity. I liked his attention to detail, how he was following up on his shots, how he was just in there making some noise, disrupting. And I liked Guerschon Yabusele's game last night probably more than anybody other than Tyrese Maxey. So shout out to Guerschon, and they need that to stay up. Kyle Lowry had a good first half off the bench, 13 points. Eric Gordon had 10, then he disappeared. I feel like the Sixers have a lot of guys who are older now that, can give you a nice quarter, can give you a hot start to a game, and then they just disappear. They go awry. Definitely do not understand Nick Nurse's lineups and rotations in this game. With Drummond getting torched the way he was, Guerschon had to play 30 minutes, and Nick Nurse still will not go to a Dembona. I do not understand it. Saw the guy up close at Summer League. His motor is insane, and he can definitely rebound and defend. At least give you something. He's raw. He's not going to be perfect, but he can give you a little bit of spark off the bench. And Jared McCain goes from playing, 19 minutes in the last game to playing 3. It's questionable, and Nurse has to be more reliant on his younger players. But at the same time, in defense of Nurse, will Joel Embiid come back? You need your anchor. You need your MVP. How much can Nurse really do? I think he could do more than what he's doing right now, but Caleb Martin, who you paid big dollars to, 39 minutes, puts up 5 points, and Kelly Oubre, 32 minutes, puts up 11 points, 4 for 10. Those two have to be much better. But let's go to the last play, and here you have Kevin Durant with a game tied after Tyrese Maxey misses a crucial free throw. And for some reason, Yabusele is guarding Durant, and he just blows right by him. I knew from the jump that Yabu was not going to be able to stick with Kevin Durant. So that's mistake number 1. KD was hot. He is one of the best players of all time. So now the Sixers are down 2 with 20 seconds to go. And I know there's always a big debate about this, but I personally would have called a timeout. I would have set things up, just made a play. You don't have Joel Embiid. Sure, the ball may go to Maxey or it may go to Paul George, but you got to get the troops on the same page. Nobody moved around. Nobody knew what the plan was. You had a full 24. Paul George is like, okay, I'll get the switch on to Grayson Allen. And it was just hero ball from here on out. The thing about this play that confuses me is that Paul George settles for potentially the worst outcome. I would rather you drive to the rim, put your head down, and draw contact and try to get a foul, or, hit a little step back from 5 feet away. Or if you're going to go for the big home run, go for the 3. But he gets stopped in his tracks, couldn't get the separation against Grayson Allen, goes right into his chest, tried to do a little push off, but really gets no space at all, and settles for a contested 2. And then it results in Maxey trying to get one off, but he didn't even get it off. But what really confused me after the game was Paul George saying this about the final play. This is what really got me.
I mean, that was, again, bad evaluation. I thought we were down 1. I thought when KD made the layup, that put them up 1. Otherwise, go for the 3 to try to win the game opposed to going for a 2 to tie the game. So after watching it, another bonehead play. Again, in that situation, why not go for the win? Yeah, I mean, it was, but I mean, I got the matchup. Kyle did a great job of putting a favorite matchup in that situation. I got a good look, rimmed in and out. You live with that at the end of the day.
Yeah, you can live with that at the end of the day, but here's what I don't like from that. Number 1, you are a 9-time All-Star. How do you not know what the score is? You thought we were down 1 and KD put you up 1. You got to get your head in the game, PG. And this also, again, comes back to coaching. if you would have called a damn timeout and set something up, maybe PG would have been reminded that, oh, it's a tie game. And also, I don't understand this explanation, because whether you thought the Sixers were down 2 or whether you thought they were down 1 after that KD layup, I mean, you still got to put your head down and go to the rim and try to draw contact, right? Like, it still doesn't matter. Or if you're going to go for the 3, again, just go for it and live with it. But settling for a deep contested 2 really, in my opinion, does not make any sense at all. And it's just, like he said, a boneheaded play. His head was not in the game, and you want to see more out of Paul George in that situation. The other thing is, why does Tyrese Maxey not have the rock in that situation? Tyrese, 32 points. I know that Maxey and PG didn't really have the ball much late, which I would have liked them to be the aggressors and take advantage of that situation. And I don't like seeing them shy away. But Tyrese Maxey was obviously the hot hand, the birthday boy. He was on fire in that second half. He had like 13 points in the third quarter. And, you know, he was building momentum. Like, you have to be able to delegate, Paul. I know we haven't got really into the whole hierarchy because Embiid hasn't been on the floor, but in my opinion, I'm trusting Maxey over PG to take that final shot, and he had the hot hand. Even with any argument, it would have been much more sensible to go with Tyrese Maxey there. So I just think it was a botched opportunity, and, you know, from everything in those final couple minutes, it just felt like the Sixers were playing timid, and they gave it up. And that's just not what we want to see. But the offense opened up a lot more. It looked like there is some promise. And when Joel comes on the floor, I know it's going to look good. Again, the question is, when will Joel come back on the floor? But speaking of which, here is Joel Embiid on the floor. He's after the game, messing around with Bradley Beal. Bradley comes up, tries to poke it away, and shout out to one of our callers. We've had some really good callers on the live show. Danny from Northeast Philly mentioned this. I didn't see this at the time, but he was talking about Embiid and being on the floor after the game, and he's like, you know, taking a shot and joking around with Bradley Beal. Don't know if it's the best look, Joel. I mean, you're supposed to be iron focused right now. You're supposed to be locked in, and you're out here after the game. It looks like you're okay to play. And they did report today that, you know, Joel could be, you know, in line to return on Wednesday night or Friday night, whatever it is. But Joel, this team's losing games. Like, this to me is not the look that you want to put on display. This is not how it wants to come off. And look, I just don't like that. I don't like that. Get pissed off. Get angry. This team is 1-5. Maybe they would have won more games if a couple things go different, but they didn't. They're 1-5. And outside of the atrocious Milwaukee Bucks, they look like a laughingstock right now. So they got to get it together. Joel's got to come back, and this team's got to right the ship. Lastly, we will look at a few more plays just to highlight some good from what we saw out of Paul George last night. Here's one play in the second quarter, right at the end of the first half, where it's just refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air. Look at that. Quick ball screen, Paul George decisive. Pull up, bang. When have the Sixers had somebody that can do that? Watch Paul George, and honestly, I would have been much more comfortable with this as the final shot. This one was in the third quarter. Look at this. Gets a little separation. Easy. Baseline fade. That's Paul George's bread and butter right there. That's what we want to see a lot more. But give me your thoughts down below in the comments section. What would you grade his debut as a Sixer? Appreciate everybody tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.